apologies for any technical issues you may have experienced if you joined us earlier. We're going to start from the top. So here we go again. Welcome to this F&B webinar on apprenticeships called Building Your Workforce Through Apprenticeships, which is taking place on Wednesday, the 8th of February 2023. This webinar forms part of our outputs for National Apprenticeship Week, which is taking place in England and Wales. Alongside this webinar, we have plenty of other content across our social media and website as part of the National Apprenticeship Week, where you can learn more about apprenticeships and our various other campaigns on skills. Beyond this, F&B members also have access to a wide variety of resources to help them with skills issues like our HR helpline, training web pages and e-learning resources. So if that sounds of any interest to you, for any non-members listening, do get in touch. Details will be at the end of this webinar. So on to the main event, where we'll hear from our three speakers for about 30 minutes or so, and then open up the session to questions from the audience. So do send in your questions throughout the webinar, and we'll pick them up at the end. Speaking first, we have Deb Madden, who's an engagement director at CITB, who'll give you a rundown of the work they're doing on apprenticeships and the resources available to you from CITB. Secondly, we'll hear from Shanaz Chinea, CEO of Youth Build Ventures, and she'll talk you through how to find the right person to fit your business. And lastly, but far from least, is our very own F&B member, Nik Nelberg, who's going to share his own experience of onboarding an apprentice into his business. So I'll pass you over to Deb from CITB.
Thanks, Jeremy. Hi, everyone. It's good to be here today. I'm Deb Madden, Engagement Director for CITB, and I just want to give you an overview of the support we can offer to construction SMEs around apprenticeships. Can I have the next slide, please? You and lots of other companies have told us that you need more support with apprenticeships, particularly around understanding the processes and the paperwork around them and the apprenticeship service accounts, right through to knowing how to support an apprentice at work and at college, and doing that in the right way to make sure that they get through to achievement. You also told us that finding a provider can be tricky. And just as a bit of an aside on that one, the issue of assessor and tutor shortage is significant, and CITB is working on a number of solutions for that. We'll keep FMB up to date with our progress, but there really isn't an easy solution. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that we're all working in a very tight labour market, and the cyclical nature of our industry means that when wage rates are driven up, tutors and assessors often return to site-based work, and why wouldn't they? So our planning around that includes some potential practical funding interventions to support colleges and training providers to attract staff, through to influencing government on the need to have good people training our new entrants and making some suggestions for solutions there. So just wanted to mention that really, we're not ignoring that issue, but we don't have the answers right now. What we have done though is to introduce a new team, the new entrant support team, who can offer practical support ranging from a bit of signposting and guidance through to a full hand-holding service, if you like, to get you through the pain-filled bits and leave you to do the on-site training, which is what we need you to do and what you're good at. Next slide, please. This next slide gives you information about some of the stuff that the team can do for you. We can help you to source an apprentice, although we know in some areas, some geographies, that can be in itself be really challenging. We can help you with talent review and the apprenticeship service to get access to applicants, and we can put you in touch with local agencies who can also help you to do that. We can work with you to make sure that you're able to deliver what the apprenticeship demands, and also to make sure you're comfortable with your responsibilities as an employer as part of the apprenticeship. We can help with those real pain points as well, getting to grips with the apprenticeship service, which is complex and enables the training fees to be met, so is really crucial. We can also make sure that you know how to access any funding from CITB, which includes that generous grant of £2,500 per year, plus the £3,500 achievement grant at the end. The team will also know whether locally there are other pots of funding that you can tap into, and they can help you to access those too. We also have the CITB Travel to Train funding, which is available for any employer whose apprentice has to travel out of area for their training. We'll arrange the accommodation and pay 80% of the cost, and we'll also support some of the travel costs where they are also excessive. Next slide, please. Making sure your apprentice is looked after during their apprenticeship is absolutely key to getting them through. So we can link you with the right training providers and colleges, and also where there's a need with any local agencies who can support the pastoral needs of the apprentice. Have an option to request quarterly monitoring visits from the team where we can review progress with you, and we can, if you'd like us to, speak with the college on your behalf if there are any issues. We can also help to signpost your apprentice to progression in learning at the end of their apprenticeship, and perhaps help to grow your business with further learning. Just as a reminder, that grant claiming support is there for you throughout the apprentice's journey, and you can also, if you don't need any help from us, self-serve with guidance from our employer toolkit, and the link is there in the presentation for you. If we can have the next slide, please. There is also some additional stuff the teams can help with when things aren't going to plan, which we hope won't be very often, but we can help you to resolve complaints and issues, and we can also give you a steer on any safeguarding problems there may be. All of our team is trained in that area. We've also developed a work-based mentoring program to help you to support apprentices. We know your time is money, so this can be delivered in bite-sized modules, and they really are bite-sized. Or you might choose to do a half-day funded session, which is coming on stream before the end of March and will attract a bit of grant. Next slide, please. So that's what's on offer, and I just want to quickly show you a few examples of FMB member companies that we've helped in the last couple of months. I won't go through these in any detail. You can read them at your leisure. Next slide, please. A few more examples here, and these should show that the support take-up varies from helping you to unblock grant claims and claiming backdated grants through to claiming grants and funding and needing support through several different apprenticeship programs through several training providers. Just before I finish, I think it's worth mentioning that this team was established firstly in the north of England as a test case back in October last year with just 5 advisors. And so far, that team have worked with almost 500 companies and supported 420 apprentices onto programmes. The demand is there and we are happy to meet it. We've now completed recruitment in the Midlands and South for this team, and the team is now available across the whole of England. We expect the demand to be high, and the feedback from the companies we've worked with has been excellent, and it actually feels really good that CITB is doing something here that is genuinely wanted and useful to construction SMEs. Please use the service because it's for you. And last slide, please. Here are the contact details for the team. If you drop a line to that email address with your number, someone will be in touch within 48 hours. I've also included some useful links there, and I know we'll be taking questions at the end, so thanks for listening.
Thank you, Deb. That was really interesting presentation there. We're going to move on to Shanaz Chennai now from Ventures UK, who we can talk us through how to find the right person for your business.
Get myself off mute. Hi everybody, it's a pleasure to be on this call today talking about such an important topic. As you've heard from Deb, there is a lot of support out there to make this process easier for you. I'm really going to focus on the why and the how. So why should we engage with apprenticeships? Why is it good for business? But also how can we reach the right people, and once we do reach them, how can we nurture them and retain them? Next slide, please. So I won't spend too long on this because I don't feel this slide tells you anything you don't know, but we know that we have a profound skill shortage in the industry. We know that the number of people over 60 has seen the largest increase in construction, and the number of people below 30 has seen the largest decrease. So we have an aging workforce. We're struggling to attract young new entrants. In addition to that, and adding to all of this, we still have the aftermath of Brexit and the pandemic, etc. So, but the challenge is we've been talking about this for many years, too many years, and really, it's the time to really think about how we do something about it. And on the other hand, we've got a youth unemployment crisis, which was worsened through the pandemic. Young people, 70% of jobs lost during the pandemic were young people under the age of 24. And, for me, having worked in the construction centre and then transitioned into the youth sector, the two just don't marry. And I think what I would like to encourage you to see is the opportunity that apprenticeships offer here to marry these two and to really connect unemployed people, displaced people that have, that are looking for new opportunities to the skill shortage we have, and how to use apprenticeships as a tool to do so. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to talk very briefly about how the apprenticeship landscape has changed, because I feel it's really important to recognize that we're probably in the most supportive phase we've been in a long time, where apprenticeship support is there and it's readily available, but also that the scope has broadened. So apprenticeships now can be for anybody of any age. There aren't any restrictions on that, and therefore a real opportunity to upskill, real opportunity for people wanting to move into different sectors, etc. A real opportunity to diversify your workforce. They also go, they're not just for trades, they are all levels from level 2 to level 7. So there's a vast number of degree apprenticeships and all the levels in between, from new entrants on the trades throughout. Also important to know that there are over 500 apprenticeships. So, whether this is administration, marketing, digital, lots and lots and lots of apprenticeship on offer that, so really encouraging you to look at your industry and your business as a whole and see where there is an opportunity to bring someone in and have them work and train within your workforce. As you know, only 20% of their time is off the job, which really gives you a great opportunity to tailor what that looks like, what that training that they receive during this time looks like. And like you've heard from Deb, there's increased financial and administrative support. There's a lot of help to make this easier for you. You're not in this alone. And in all the research I've done and in all the time, I don't believe we've had as much support as we have now. And most of all, it makes business sense. So, we talk about retention being a problem, we talk about attraction being a problem, but apprenticeships are a really great tool to resolve these challenges. So really thinking about using apprenticeships to attract, because new entrants are being paid while they're being upskilled and trained. But at the same time, from your perspective, it's really thinking about the fact that 90% of apprentices stay employed. So that loyalty, that commitment to your business is definitely far greater through the apprenticeship scheme. Next slide, please. So just building on that. So, whilst we know that the apprenticeship landscape has changed, we know that it is broader, but why should we engage with it? What are the attractive benefits? So I think first and foremost, it really is a really good tool and scheme to bridge the skills gap. An opportunity to really think about fit for purpose training. We often complain, and we've seen it from Deb's presentation too, that the training, either we can't find the right providers, or the training that new entrants receive isn't relevant, it isn't fit for purpose, it hasn't kept up to date with changes in industry. But with an apprenticeship, you've really got the opportunity for 80% of their time to make that training bespoke, to really capture the knowledge and expertise of your aging workforce and have that transferred onto your new apprentices. And really kind of keep those skills contained within your organization and really create skills that are relevant for you, that skills that will help you develop, help you deliver on your projects, etc. So, it's, I can't describe enough how much this can be tailored to suit your needs more than just any other routes into employment. Importantly too, is that apprenticeships give you an opportunity to access a diverse workforce. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit, as well as an opportunity to really drive social mobility. And I think, we talk a lot about the aged workforce, and I think you will know more than myself that the knowledge contained there is, you don't want to lose that. And this is a really great opportunity to have that transferred whilst work is being delivered, and whilst productivity is being improved. Next slide, please. So really thinking about how, how apprenticeships can help you become more a diversity champion and a social mobility enabler, and thinking about how, how we can do this as businesses. And I think the first step is to really recognize that diversity and social mobility is all about people. Your business is all about people, and how, a successful business is where people are happy, people can feel that they can be their whole self, and they feel motivated to be productive and to turn up every day. So just thinking about diversity, I would say the starting point is to really, first of all, recognize it is about people, but then really think about challenging your definition of diversity, recognizing that, it's about understanding the needs of your entire workforce, and, and diversity may not be stereotypically obvious. It could be beyond, what you visually see, and it does involve getting to know your people better and developing an inclusive workplace that accommodates all of them, all your workforce, to be their whole self and bring their whole self to work because they're comfortable to do so. But I think importantly to recognize is that a diverse workforce is an asset to your business. It's not just a means of ticking a box. So really thinking, when you do think about apprenticeships and attracting diverse talent, realizing that what it does bring to you is differentiated thought. It brings innovation. It brings motivation and productivity. And it isn't just about achieving targets and reaching your planning obligations. So really, I think, seeing diverse talent as an asset is the greatest benefit you could give your business. And within that, it's realizing that it takes time to be a fully inclusive business. So really thinking about education and how you can have those open and honest conversations about diversity, not for any moment feeling that diversity will just happen naturally, because it doesn't. It takes time to get to know the needs of your workforce, but it also takes time to nurture them and become an inclusive workforce. And I think once you've got that in place, and once you really have checked in with your teams and recognize that you are inclusive, I would say constantly check in, make sure that this is something that is driven by leadership and throughout the organization. And similarly, for social mobility, apprenticeships give you the opportunity to reach into a wide array of untapped potential, and recognizing that as construction with low barriers to entry, you have such a gift in the sense that you're able to give people an opportunity to change their lives, an opportunity to really transform their futures and that of their families, because sustaining employment is the best outcome someone from a marginalized background could hope for, to change that future for themselves and their families and communities. So recognizing the power you have as construction to enable social mobility, I think, is a really important piece. Next slide, please. And just talking about young people specifically, because this is what we do at Youth Build, we really see ourselves as an intersection between the most marginalized young people and industry. And what we find is that, young people, whether marginalized or not, they don't think the same way anymore. They don't expect the same things from work anymore. So we've always done things this way just doesn't work anymore. So I think it's really about recognizing that young people need a different support structure. They need different motivations at work, and they need constant checking in. But I think first and foremost, particularly around the apprenticeships, because we have put, we train young people around life skills and leadership, and really train them to be ready for the workplace. But once they go into the workplace, things fall apart because they don't have direct support. They don't have mentors. They don't have real good quality and targeted training. They're almost expected to fit in and just get going. So really thinking about taking on an apprentice, but delivering a quality apprenticeship by providing workplace mentors, having a buddy that they can turn to, not just for the training that they're going to receive, but also to have someone that fully understands their circumstances. And this kind of leads on to the fact that I would encourage you that when you do take young people on, we often hear that they're not committed, they're not going to last, they're not willing to work hard. But I can tell you, in all honesty, 7 out of 10 young people don't leave or don't not turn up the next day because they want to. There's often a deeper reason to it. And as an employer, it's your responsibility to sort of manage on cause rather than behavior. So if a young person is late, yes, it is going to impact the day. It is going to impact the starting of the workplace. But ask them why. Could it be that they didn't have a bed to sleep in the night before? Could it be that they had challenges beyond what we could contemplate? So really thinking about your new talent coming in as individuals that have challenges in their life that need to be understood in the workplace for them to thrive. But once we can get that right, they will be the most loyal and committed workforce you will ever have, because you will have transformed their life and you would have believed in them and given them a chance. And I think it's really, really important for you to recognize that power sits within yourself. When I talked about the dichotomy between skills gap and youth unemployment, or unemployment in general, it's not going to be driven by the unemployed. It's going to be driven by a change in mindset and culture within yourselves, a willingness to engage, a willingness to take on new entrants and to support them and retain them in the workplace. So really, really thinking about also from a young people, but also just general diversity perspective. Young people want pathways, they want career pathways, they want to develop, but this needs to be structured so that any unconscious bias is taken out of the system. And I think it's recognizing that, like I said again, and I'll say it again now, they are an asset to you. They will be willing to work hard and train and deliver for you if you believe in them, if you give them a chance, and if you see them as adding value to your organization. Next slide, please. But I think, very important to note that it's not easy. It's not easy to take a young person straight out of the job center who has been unemployed for a long time, or anyone for that reason, for that, who has been out of the job market for some time. It's very hard to immediately integrate them into your organization and get the best out of them, get them to be productive, get them to understand what you need for them to deliver. And I know from your point of view, it becomes difficult then to engage with apprenticeships because you fear that they will be, you'll train them, they'll leave, or you'll start training them and they won't continue to turn up, etc. But I think what's very important for you to know is that more than ever before, adding on to the great support from CITB, you don't have to do this alone. There are numerous organizations out there like ourselves and many others that run very, very good pre-apprenticeship programs or pre-employment programs that work on the behavioral side of new entrants, that work on the attitudes and get them ready to take responsibility for themselves, to turn up every day, to deliver every day. There are organizations who, that's what we do, that's our job. But we can do that forever. But if we don't have you on the other end taking them on and employing them, we're really not doing any justice to the young people who are really trying their very best to transform their lives. There's a really great resource called Building People, which has a catalog of organizations like ourselves, depending on which audiences you'd like to attract, which part of the country you're in, etc. They've got a really great interactive map which you can access and reach these organizations. In addition to this, the support Deb has talked about from CITB, there's organizations like LPC, London Progression Collaboration, which works beyond London as well, but is really there to transfer apprenticeship levy onto SMEs, but also to give you all the guidance and support that you need to support an apprenticeship. So really, the message from me is there is a lot out there. Reach out to ourselves, reach out to FMB, and they will put you in touch with numerous organizations that can help you reach diverse talent, that can help you meet your labor market needs so that you can deliver and grow and just grow your businesses and thrive. So that's, next slide, please. I think that's really it from me. I think it's just a strong message to say that as construction, you have the power to make this happen, and it really is in your hands to engage. I can't tell you how many, we train up to 150 young people a year in very intensively helping them overcome barriers, but we struggle no end to find employers willing to take them on, and yet we constantly hear of a skills gap. So really, reaching out to you to recognize the value of apprenticeships and to really take that leap in terms of introducing new untapped potential into your businesses. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, there's a lot to consider there, especially the value an apprentice can bring to the diversity of a workforce. Right, so we're going to move on to Nik Nelberg now, who's an FMB member. He's going to talk you through his own journey of taking an apprentice into his business. Hand you over to Nik.
Hello everyone, my name is Nik Nelberg, Urban Callum Design and Build, and just like to take you through our journey of finding an apprentice and starting to train him up. And next slide, please. So I kind of want to go through why we actually went the apprentice route, how we found people, the candidates that are out there, the challenges that we faced a lot from the discussions earlier, and the help that we got and what helps out there, and a little bit about Connor, who's our carpentry apprentice, and also the sort of giving help. So next slide, please. So our business, like most of us at the moment, is suffering from lack of skills, and we've been for years trying to find an apprentice and to find the right candidates. And we, in the end, started, instead of putting adverts for skilled labour, we started advertising for labourers who would like to progress and like they were saying earlier, there's so much incentive at the moment to help young people and do apprenticeships, and so we offered that when we interviewed people. We said, come and work for us as a labourer, and if you can be committed, you can show that your value's there, but, we can move you up. So next slide, please. So this is where there are lots of people out there who want to progress, but they need a bit of help. Possibly parents are not so keen on trades like they used to be, and but I think offering people this opportunity to upskill and to ask for commitment and to attract the right sort of person and put them to the test, like we've done labouring, and Connor particularly took on board things. Certainly the beginning of his working for us, he wasn't turning up for more than 4 days a week, and we were having issues. Now he's this week making sure that he's there 15 minutes early, which is a big leap and a lot of learning gone on since then. Next slide, please. So the challenges. It has been a challenge. Next slide, please. So finding the right person was a big challenge, because what we didn't want to do was start investing in someone who was going to leave and kind of not be committed, because it's a big investment for a small builder like we are. We are builders, we're not trainers or teachers, and we've struggled to work out how to actually engage well and sort of teach what we do and how we do it in a way that Connor has been able to understand. There's been a bit of friction there, but also we've been learning. I guess we've we've become grumpy old builders with dealing with unskilled people for a certain amount of time, and we were spoiled with amazing carpenters and trades that we worked with in the past, who have done a 3 or 4 year apprenticeship back in the old days when the apprenticeships were super duper, and where people really were proud to be a carpentry or bricklaying apprentice, and so it's translating that now into the current market and learning as a business. Next slide, please. So yeah, the help, there's loads of help at the moment. It's the best time because there's so much help out there, and I think the labour market is such now that we can have a pick of some better, more prepared people. I think that one of the problems that we've been ending up with the lowest common denominator, and it's you know, it's not helped produce the right people, but there are loads of different organizations out there. The colleges as well, they want to fill their courses, they want and need to, you know, produce the training to keep their courses going. The master builders have been great in terms of helping us understand, and we've gone, okay, well, we were just about to apply and then this doesn't seem to have worked properly, and they've said, okay, well, let's talk to the rep at CITB, who've then helped us understand what we had to do, and we've missed a deadline, but then we've sorted something else out, and we've got everything going. The government also, they're trying to fill this skills gap, so they're, you know, there's sort of an online portal that to help you understand what you've got to do. And now that we've done the first year with Connor, we've kind of gone through all this process, and it's a lot less confusing. Next slide, please. So Connor came to us answering a labouring ad. When we looked at his CV on Indeed, he'd been on the bins for a few years, and we thought, well, if he can get up that time in the morning to do the bins, then let's get him on board. As I said, we said to him, if you want to be a carpenter or a bricklayer or a plasterer, or you want to run your own building company and become a general builder, we've got the knowledge and experience. We are the aging workforce, and we really do have super knowledge. And I see a real difference between people who've been kind of trained in college and haven't been on site with the aging workforce and getting that knowledge. And there's just so many little sort of tricks of the trade, and there's so much information that makes it, you know, doing a quality job much easier. And it's just, in terms of the apprenticeship way, having someone on site for 4 days a week and being able to watch them, you know, cut stuff and join stuff together and how they approach work. So it's been really rewarding to help Connor understand and to see him progress and watch him buy tools. And at one point he said to us, we've changed his life, because he was, he's from Croydon, and he's been in and out of trouble since he was about 13. And I think they called him a prolific offender. And literally 6 months ago or something, we were talking, and he said, do you know what? You've changed my life. I bumped into an old friend who is still in the same life. And we were talking, and, you know, some other friend had been stabbed, and another friend was in back inside. And Connor said, I really appreciate this opportunity that you've given me. And I said, brilliant, because we really appreciate that you're learning and you're putting in the time to really progress. So it's great for our business, and it's great for him as well. Next slide, please. So I guess we've struggled with our kind of old ways. I'm always saying that us aging workforce, that we're all the good stuff and sometimes the bad stuff. So with the good stuff is the work ethic, the quality of work, the attention to detail, the training, the knowledge and experience that's there. But then also we are a bit jaded and a bit grumpy. Like my partner Peter says, if I'd forgotten that dimension when I was told a dimension from the roof, I would have had something thrown at me. And it's different times now, so it's kind of giving help and nurturing people and working out how their skills are progressing, and keeping the good skills and losing the old attitudes, I suppose. But I just so recommend, and it's so needed for our knowledge to be passed on. And there is no better way than an apprenticeship to spend time with a young person and help them learn. And it's the only way, I think, that we can actually help our businesses and improve the skills level in the industry. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Nick. That's really interesting how Connor's life has changed through an apprenticeship. That's fantastic. We're going to move on to questions now. So if everyone can put their cameras back on, and we'll go through questions that you've sent in during the session. There's a theme here on some of them. So basically, how do we attract new people into the industry? And Nick, I know you've just stopped talking, but it'd be interesting to get a sort of boots on the ground view, I suppose. How do you think we should? How do you think, as an industry, we should attract people into construction?
So I've as I've been learning about the issues in the industry through the FMB to begin with, and then connecting with the CITB and actually Youth Build, I'm speaking to Hannah, because you've got 19 people who are just about to, on Friday, I think you've got 19 people who are just about to, what's the word? I've lost the word.
Graduate.
Graduate, thank you. Yeah, so I'm going to talk to her, see some CVs, and through the sort of experience with Connor, I really can see the value in helping people and upskilling them, and the relationship between the business and the person, it changes their life quite dramatically, doesn't it? So it's brilliant for both of you. Yeah, getting more involved with these different groups. And like I said, advertising for an unskilled job with progression, I've found have brought us people that we can then find, pick the ones that want to progress, because it's great, we need labourers, but I'd rather employ a labourer that I can upskill, and I guess there are lots of different groups out there that get in touch with them and ask me.
Thank. That we can open that out to Deb. Do you want to highlight how we can attract more people in?
Really interested in listening to Nick's point of view. This is a huge whole industry issue. It's a huge image issue. We know that young people decide what they don't want to do by the time they're 7, and we really need to infiltrate kids really young and make sure that construction and our sector remains as an option for them. But that takes a massive amount of effort, and the situation in the industry at the minute is that every single hand is required on deck. We all know that. It's tricky. We work with influencers a lot, Jeremy, to make sure that we're getting that message out. But I think we tend to work at that older age group. And a lot of negative decisions have already been made by then. But it is about the industry getting behind this, becoming construction ambassadors, getting into schools, working with influencers. National Apprenticeships Week is great. Open your sites, do work experience. I think a lot of smaller builders think that their sites are not exciting or interesting enough to attract work experience candidates, but actually giving someone a real experience, a genuine experience, is actually much better than a glamorous huge site in some ways. So yeah, it's a whole industry issue, and we need the whole industry to get behind it.
Brilliant, thanks, Deb. Shanaz, your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I totally agree with both those viewpoints, and I think it's critical that we start at a young age. But I also feel there's so attraction is one element. So how do you change the image of the industry through positive role models, through work experience? Work experience is a really important piece of that, because it is about exposure to the variety of roles and career progression that the industry offers, which is often not seen. You know, it's very much perceived as being one thing and not really as vast and interesting and engaging and innovative as it is in reality. So that's one piece. It's just really focusing on the image. But I think another piece is the culture of the industry and the workplace. So really thinking about, you know, if we do bring people in for work experience, what is their experience going to be? Are they going to want to come and work here or not? You know, are we changing the culture of the industry so that people feel it is a workplace that they would want to be in? Because we've got to recognize as construction that we're competing now with many industries. You know, unemployment is vast, and there's a lot of industries that have skills gaps, and many of them offer very attractive benefits, offer flexibility, offer a lot of things that we struggle in the industry to do. So it's really thinking about how do we adapt a little bit more so that we meet the needs of people today.
Great. Someone's asked very directly, Nick, where did you find Connor? Which I think you answered in the presentation, but actually it's a broader question. I suppose, Nick, directly, where did you find Connor? And for everyone else, where's the sort of best place to get resources for apprentices, and where can they find it? So Nick, over to you.
So we, as I said, we sort of went away from advertising for skilled labour and just put an advert in for a labourer with the opportunity to upskill, and we got a lot of quite good applications really through that. When we were advertising for skilled, say a carpenter, we had a lot of applications that disappointed us because they considered that their skill level was very different from what we considered it should be. There was a big disparity there, whereas when we started from the bottom, we got a sort of a different group of people, and it's worked really well in terms of Connor. And now that I understand a bit more about engaging Connor and helping him and him helping us learn about, you know, how to train him and how best to kind of deal with him, it's now since we started looking, even there's now Talent View, there's a lot of kind of different things that are set up out there. And now I was considering putting another advert in there, but before I did that, I saw an email about Youth Builds graduates coming out, and I thought this is a better place to start than that advert. So it's quite a changing landscape, and I think get all the help that you can, because it's out there.
Thanks. Shanaz, do you want to?
Yeah, I would sort of second that. You know, there are a lot of candidates out there within that are already committing to training, you know, already dedicating time to training in the industry. So if you think about FE colleges, you know, only 12% of students completing construction diplomas actually go into work in the industry. So this is people who've committed a year or maybe two sometimes, but then don't end up in the industry. So that's one place. And yes, maybe we say that the training isn't fit for purpose, but then we've got an opportunity to change that when they come into the workplace. Organizations like ourselves and many others, so you've got organizations that work with veterans or organizations that work with women, you know, so it depends what you're looking for, what roles you're looking for. And there's lots of people out there that are reaching, so they're doing the outreach for you. They're doing the training in terms of commitment, attitudes, behavior, work readiness. So all you've got to do is give them a job and give them a chance.
Great. Deb, to you.
Yeah, just to echo what Nick and Shanaz have already said, Talent View finds an apprenticeship service which both speak to each other, are the perfect places to look. FE colleges should be a rich source of talent. We know that those programs are not doing what the industry need them to do, but at least we have motivated, interested young people on those programs. And CITB are looking at ways in which they can move people from those programs more seamlessly into site-based roles, and you'll get news about that later this year.
Great, thank you all. Now a question about the biggest challenges you've that can be faced or you have faced taking on an apprentice. So Nick, I'll start off with you on that one.
The biggest challenge.
And did you require additional support and things like that, and how did you overcome them if you had a challenge?
I think probably the biggest challenge was I started saying to my business partner, we need to find an apprentice and we need to train someone. And he kept saying, who's going to train them? And I kept looking at him and thinking, well, you're the one with the carpentry training and the general builder experience and knowledge, and you're the one with the, you know, who needs to train him really. And really, why are you asking me that? And then I realized that, you know, he was thinking, well, I work and I'm the one who produces all the stuff. So if I've got someone, you know, I can't take the time out to train someone. And so that was probably the biggest challenge, to kind of change our mindset of the business, to understand that we have the knowledge and experience, and if we don't do anything, then our businesses are just going to die, and the knowledge and experience is going to leave the industry. I don't know, you know, you sort of look at these large new builds where there are bricklayers that are just laying bricks. They don't know you know, how to build an arch, or, you know, when an arch is needed, it's prefabricated in a factory and stuck to a bit of concrete lintel and craned in. So without us changing our attitude, which I think is the biggest thing, these skills are going to be lost.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Nick. Shanaz, what have you come across? What are the sort of common issues people seem to face?
I think just really adding on to what Nick said, I think that's the largest one, is actually that shift in mindset and recognizing that the time spent is not time lost. You know, so it does feel like it at the time, but it isn't. And I think just being open to having patience and recognizing that it's not going to be perfect on day one, but it's worth the investment. I think that's, you know, that's what we see. And I think the biggest challenge we face on the other side is just employers not coming forward to take on young people, you know. So it really is, I mean, it baffles us because we know there's a skill shortage.
Yes.
So yeah.
I suppose, Deb, following on from that, is there anything we can do to get people to come forward to take on apprentices? Is there anything CITB can do to help, and others getting involved?
The team that I referred to in my presentation, Jeremy, is absolutely out there recruiting employers, talking to employers about the benefits and positives of taking apprentices. And in terms of the additional support that was mentioned, some colleges have, and some training providers have, superb additional support departments, others not so great, but there are also local services that offer that additional support while someone is at college or in training, and CITB will have all that detail to pass on and refer to, and it's always worth getting that additional help. It's brilliant that employers will give up the time to do it themselves. That's not your area of expertise. Let someone help you to do that.
Yeah. Deb, sorry to butt in, but I would add to that the DWP is a great resource as well. you know, they can often fill that gap. They can fund travel, they can fund, you know, like really support employers to make your life easier and to enable you to just focus on the work and the training.
Great, thanks. Maybe coming back to you, Nick, I suppose there's a question here which are not surprising. What advice would you give if you were speaking to another builder and they're about to start on this process?
Talk to people, get help. You know, I'm happy. I'm a real advocate of construction and what a wonderful career it is, and the diversity, and you know, the fact that you can come with no knowledge at all and a will, and you can start off as a labourer with no skill, and you can end up running your own business in a few years' time. So yeah, I'd say get all the help you can, because there's lots out there.
There's a question here. Are there any places I could find inspiring success stories, apart from yours, Nick, obviously? If anyone's got them on, I don't know if Shanaz or Deb, you have them on resources to look at, maybe case studies.
CITB could give you as many case studies as you want to look at, but I think the most inspiring stories will probably come from Shanaz. You know, we can provide case studies, that isn't a problem, but I would imagine Shanaz has got the very best of those.
No, we absolutely do. I mean, I can't even just, you know, if I had to tell you some of the life-changing stories, it's incredible. You know, we've got a whole, I mean, every young person that comes through our door has a past and has a history and has challenges we would not even imagine. But, you know, many of them, so 75% of them go on and work in the industry and go on and succeed and stay in the industry. So, you know, we've got a great amount of case studies. Unfortunately, we don't have a website, but we do have social media. We're in the process of having a website that I could direct you to, but happy to share them with FMB.
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be brilliant. We'll put that up on our website. Someone's also asked, which I can actually answer, when will the general builder multi-skilled apprenticeship standard go live? So this is something that we're working with many others on, and ideally it will be live before the end of this year. So that's the timeline on the general builder standard. Hopefully, don't hold me to that.
I'm really I'm on that Trailblazer group, and I'm really gunning for that one, because to me, the general builder, I don't like the term multi-trade, because it has a connotation of sort of the old
jack of all trades.
Yeah, jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah, whereas to me, a general builder is someone who has worked for years on various different aspects of building and has watched other trades to understand how all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle go together, so that you know, you're not a plumber, but you know what the heating engineer and the plumber need to do to make their house work. And so I really, as well with retrofits and energy efficiency upgrade of people's houses that needs to be done, I think the general builder and the knowledge of buildings of all different styles, you know, Victorian terraces and, you know, different period buildings. I think the general builder has a lot of knowledge about this, and it would be really good to have a general building apprenticeship that we could kind of go with.
I'm right in thinking, as you're on the group, Nick, it is the general builder standard. I think you came to a conclusion on the name.
Yeah, well, I think it's I think it all needs to be finalized, doesn't it? But I'm gunning for that.
We'll go for that. We'll call it that. It sounds good. Right, that's the end of questions. So it's just time for me to wrap up. If we can get the final slides up. Yep. So this is just thank you for attending, and if any non-members are watching, these are all the details you can get in touch with us with, especially if you want help with this topic particularly. And we do have some upcoming events, a very important one actually for our house builders, particularly turning brownfield sites into profitable developments, as most SMEs tend to build on brownfields. And here we've got the Master Builder Awards. It's called the South here, but we have them all across the UK coming up over the next few months. So do look out for those. And yeah, thank you for watching. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.